Oh, almost forgot my microphone again. Good to see, or good to be here again. I can't see you guys, but I can see your comments. So, hi, Eyes to See. Hi, Jay Nelson. Um, I was just thinking about like when I started. Hi, Shauna. When I started my channel, well, I had never been on the internet before. And then, I went through all this stuff and then it got so way out of hand. I was like, I've got to find other people that experience this stuff. So I got on Twitter and it was really difficult for me to find people that weren't into like magic and some type of like divination and stuff like that were experiencing stuff similar. So when I started my YouTube, I was like, well, I'll just start out by like hearing their side of the story and maybe like my experience might open their perception to like what's going on and what they're doing, and how this has affected somebody on this kind of a level. Because magic has absolutely hurt everyone that I love, in so many different ways. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But to see it like that we're in this realm of magic, you know what I mean? And like really wake up to that is like to see how much it's affected everybody is I think eye-opening for everybody. But on an everyday, like when you're getting tortured every single day for 6 years, and seeing the effect that it's had on kids and everything, and like on multiple levels, and how deep I've taken it, like thinking about how it affects everything around us, like just going through like power lines and stuff like that, and coming through our TV, and just like the frequencies that are out there, and just everything that how deep I take this from experiencing this every day has made me extremely passionate, about it. And so at first I had a few people on here. I had one guy, the Wizard of Boz, and his friend on here. And I made a tweet about like against magic, and he saw it. And this is after I had him on my channel. And his reply was like this demonic sigil that he had made, like a drawing. And he replied to my Twitter like that. And I'm like, that is so fucked up. Like, I know you, like, we've talked and stuff, and you would do that to me. And know that, and he has kids, and know that, like, this stuff gets run through the internet and all of that. And that's what I'm talking about, like with the white noise and everything. It's all like messed up through this technology. But yeah, so I took down my video with him. And then I just started seeing how like people would react when they found out like you really are against this stuff, like how they treated you. And so on one of my videos, I made a big long list of like just everyday magic that surrounds us. And I was just asking, like, why so much magic, like around us? Like, what are they hiding and what are they not wanting us to know about ourselves? Like, what is the big secret? Like, there's so much of it. But I wanted to go into because I was talking about tarot yesterday and the artwork with it. And I did a video about this a little bit. I touched on it, but I wanted to read this to you guys about the lady that did like the original artwork for it. And I don't know, I just find her whole entire like uh biography and everything, I find it like an abnormally strange amount of accomplishment and like reach and influence that she had, and she's definitely like part of the system, but on the cult side. But okay, so her name's Pamela Coleman Smith. She was nicknamed Pixie, and she was a British artist, illustrator, writer, publisher, and occultist. She is best known for illustrating the Rider-Waite Tarot. This tarot deck became the standard among tarot card readers and remains most widely used today. She also illustrated over 20 books, wrote 2 collections of Jamaican folklore, edited 2 magazines, and ran the Green Sheaf Press, a small press focused on women writers. Smith was born at 28 Belgrave Road in Pimlico, part of central London. She was the only child of a merchant from Brooklyn, New York. Charles Edward Smith, son of Brooklyn Mayor, and his wife, Corinne Coleman. Family is based in Manchester for the first decade of Smith's life. In 1889, they moved to Jamaica when Charles Smith took a job with the West India Improvement Company. So if you've ever heard of the West India, like slave trade, or that might be the East one, I don't know, but I'm sure that they're like related. A financial syndicate involved in extending the Jamaican railroad system. Okay. In 1896, while Smith was in art school, her mother died in Jamaica. Smith herself was ill and off during these years and left Pratt 1897 without a degree. She became an illustrator. Some of her first projects included the illustrated verses of William Butler Yeats, a book on actress Dame Ellen Terry by Bram Stoker. So there's a big name. And 2 of her other works, or 2 of her own books, Whitcomb Fair and Fair Vanity, a reference to Vanity Fair. In 1899, her father died, leaving Smith orphaned at the age of 21. She returned to England that year, continuing to work as an illustrator and branching out into the theatrical design for a miniature theater. In London, she was taken under the wing with Lyceum Theatre Group, led by Terry, who is said to have given her the nickname Pixie. Henry Irving and Bram Stoker and traveled with them around the country, working on costumes and stage design. In 1901, she established a studio in London and held a weekly open house for artists, authors, actors, and others involved with the arts. Then in his early Arthur Ransom, then in his early 20s, describes one of these at-home evenings in the curious artistic circle around Smith in his 1907 Bohemian in London. Smith wrote and illustrated 2 books about Jamaican folklore, Anansi Stories in 1899 and Chim Chim Folk Stories from Jamaica. These books include Jamaican versions of tales involving the traditional African folk figure Anansi. The Spider. She also continued her illustration work, taking on projects with William Butler Yeats and his brother, the painter Jack Yeats. She illustrated Bram Stoker's last novel, The Lair of the White Worm, in 1911. I've seen that movie. And Ellen Terry's book, The Russian Ballet. Okay, Smith supported the struggle for the right to vote, and through the suffrage Altier, a collective of professional illustrators, she contributed artwork to further the cause of women's suffrage in Great Britain. Smith also donated her services for poster designs and toys to the Red Cross during World War. Yeah, I bet. In 1903, Smith launched her own magazine under the title Green Chief, with contributions by Yeats, Christopher St. John, Cecil French, George William Russell, Gordon Craig, John Todhunter, and others. The Green Chief survived for a little over a year, a total of 13 issues. Discouraged by the Green Chief's lack of financial success, Smith shifted her efforts towards setting up a small press in London. In 1904, she established the Green Sheaf Press, which published a variety of novels, poems, fairy tales, folklores, until at least 1906, mostly by women writers. In 1907, Alfred Stieglitz gave an exhibition of Smith's paintings in the New York. His little galleries of the photo session, also known as Gallery 291, making Smith the first painter to have a show at what had been, until then, a gallery devoted exclusively to the avant-garde. Stilts was intrigued by Smith's synesthetic sensibility. In this period, Smith would paint visions that came to her while listening to music. The show was successful enough that Stitz issued a platinum print portfolio of 22 of her paintings and showed her work twice more in 1908 and 1909. Some Smith works that did not sell remained with Stitz and ended up in the Stitz Georgia O'Keeffe archive at Yale University. And if you've ever looked into Georgia O'Keeffe, she's another really weird occult figure. Yeats introduced Smith to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which she joined in 1901, and in the process met Arthur Edward Waite. When the Golden Dawn splintered due to personality conflicts, Smith moved with Waite to the independent and rectified Rite of the Golden Dawn, or Holy Order of the Golden Dawn. In 1909, Waite commissioned Smith to produce the tarot deck with appeal to the world of art, and the result was the unique Waite-Smith tarot deck, published by William Ryder and Son of London. It was endured as the world's most popular 78 tarot deck, with innovative cards, depicted full scenes, figure symbols on all of the cards, including pips, and Smith's distinct drawings, have become the basis for the design of many subsequent packs. Apart from book illustration projects, the pterodactyl art found little in the way of commercial outlets after her early success. Stites in New York, several examples of her works done in gouache. I've always wanted to try that, by the way. Were collected by her cousin. The American Sherlock Holmes actor William Gillette and may be found today prominently displayed in the castle in Connecticut. If anybody's painted with this, let me know. Gouache, I never have, but I have wanted to try that. The 1911, Smith converted to Roman Catholicism. After the end of the First World War, Smith received an inheritance from an uncle that enabled her to lease a house on the Lizard Peninsula. How fitting. In Cornwall, an area popular with artists. For income, she established a holiday home for Catholic priests in a neighboring house. Her longtime friend Nora Lake joined her in Cornwall and helped to run the vacation home. After 7 years of financial difficulty, Smith left the Lizard and relocated to Exeter and the Bude in the early 1940s. Although she continued writing and illustrating, she was unable to find publishers for her work, probably due to changes in public taste following the First World War. Smith died in her apartment in the Bilku in Bude's 18th September, on 18th September 1951. Her possessions were auctioned off to pay her debts. The location of her grave site is unknown, but it's likely she was buried in an unmarked grave in St. Michael's Cemetery in Bude. Okay, if you notice, like they were talking about how she would do a lot of her art to music and stuff like that. And what I was talking about is that I've seen that this tarot stuff was channeled from that Yoda guy, and that it came from this L app, but it originally was from like Big G, like this Ascension realm. And it didn't quite look like it, but it's very familiar. And I've talked about that, like how that artwork, and then there's another type of artwork that's in that Daft Punk video. Sorry, my voice is like gone today. But my friend Mickle said that he said I could do that video like if it's in 3-second segments. So he's gonna like chop it up for me, the parts that I wanted to show you guys. So I'm gonna try and have that done either like tomorrow or the day after. But those two types of art specifically are very reminiscent to me, and I know that are channeled into this place and like changed a little bit and used for magic. But what else was on there that I wanted to just say? Oh, I always go back to like what Jesus said. He said, "Watch how your teachers die," and people are like, "Oh, well, look how he died," and I'm like, "Yeah, he was murdered." And killed violently. This is how a pure person is like treated here. That's the whole symbolic thing with him, and it's not just symbolic. I think everybody that has tried to do really good here has noticed that no good deed goes unpunished at some type of level, but especially when you like really speak out against evil. Just today I had to take my cat to the vet, and she has another tooth that's messed up. I mean, it's just nonstop, like with this stuff, constantly hit. And they love to hit people that you love, even more than you, just because, they know our hearts. But if you look at Aleister Crowley, like his very last interview that he did, he was a freaking mess. And just like they were talking about with her. And that's why I titled this "Do as Thou Wilt and Watch Thyself Wilt," because he was telling his followers, he was like, "Do not do what I did." And so when I see people like, doing all of his magic and stuff, I'm like, did you even like look at his last interview or anything? Because he was like saying, don't do that. There's two guys that who's the guy that started the Scientology? What am I trying to say here? Scientology founder. Ron L. Hubbard. Him and another guy, I think. Hold on. Sorry, guys, this is glitching on me. Of course. Him and another guy did this like ritual that Aleister Crowley did, that he said that Aleister Crowley was like, don't do it. And they supposedly created that big portal and brought in that lamb figure or something like that. But yeah, Aleister Crowley died like a really big freaking mess. And under complete and total demonic control. So I'm just saying it doesn't really take a genius to see that these things are not, harmless like people make them out to be. And yesterday, I had some people on here um, that I have tried to be friends with before, and I had to cut that off. And then yesterday, it happens again. And I've talked about these things before. They know how I feel about this stuff. And to come back here and like go on about it again and disrupt what I'm trying to do, I find very disrespectful. And I want, especially with men, like if you know something is wrong and evil, like you have to pick what's right. You can't walk the gray line. And I'm not putting up with that here anymore. This is my channel, and I'm not doing what I did in the beginning. I really did try to hear everybody out, and I'm done with that now. So I just wanted to let everybody here know like where I stand with this stuff. And I'm not here to like have any kind of battles over this. This is what I know to be wrong, and I've said it before, and I'm not going to argue about it here. And I've also said anybody that I mention on here by name is more than welcome to come here and talk to me face to face if I have mentioned you by name. And I have had contact with most of these people. Like throughout my journey. And Anne Marie, I had like a face to face conversation with her on a video call. And, you know, she came on here leaving a bunch of comments. Well, if you can leave all those comments, come on here and talk to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not lying about anything. This is stuff that I've seen. I didn't put your name in gematria. That's for sure. And I'm talking about what I've experienced firsthand. So I have a right to talk about it. And all this stuff came into my house and invaded my life. Let me just say that too. Like, I didn't go looking for all this. So I am talking about stuff that has happened to me personally and people that I have seen in the astral 3 years before I even came on YouTube. So if I was them, I'd be interested in it. You know what I mean? Like, I would want to come on here. So, yeah, I've said that before. I've invited Sanity Machine a couple times on here. Whoever I mention on here is more than welcome to come on here. And I've been on his channel too to talk to him. So, and also to do with, yeah, people do have to be respectful in their comments here. You know, like, I know what's up. I know when you're like playing games and just trying to energy harvest and say stupid shit. You know, that has nothing to do with what I'm doing here. And I made it clear that I'm only going to be here for like a week. And then I'm going off however long it takes me to go do my thing. When I come back, that'll determine if I do any more. But if I don't feel the need, I mean, this is like all that I'm doing. So to be respectful while I'm doing it is, you know, I mean, I don't go to other people's channels ever. I mean, number one, I don't go to other people's channels anymore. But number two, I've never gone to people's channels and just bombarded them with stupid stuff or even like been disrespectful in any way. So, yeah, I don't appreciate it at all. Where, oh, in my, you mean like here in the comments or left on the video itself? I used to see. She said there were some cuss words on their comments towards you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, just please be respectful and treat me the way that you would like to be treated. You know, like if this was you putting yourself out here and being like super personal and really like sharing your personal accounts and stuff like that. Left on the comments yesterday. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably take it down. I hate doing that kind of stuff, you know, like just taking stuff down. I've never been one to do that, but yeah, if it's like that rude, I'm not going to keep it up, you know, anymore. I'm not putting up with as much as I did before because this is like before I wanted to a space to hear everybody out and I really tried to do that and it didn't work out. You know what I mean? Like it just did not. I wasn't able to get what I was saying because mostly because my stuff is so off the wall or like in depth that whoever I was talking to couldn't like relate, or they were just here to like be an agent and harvest energy or whatever. And I think you can see that like on the other lives that I've done, like people just popping in to mess up the energy. And I'm also not here to just talk about people, like I don't just randomly pick out people to there's so many people I could sit here and just like constantly go over like what's wrong on their channels. I've never done that, and I've never liked when other people were mentioned on this. This is because I felt it was necessary to talk about right now. And has to do with this whole entire thing being scripted, and YouTube is the astral and the physical. I've said that over and over again. Like, I do know these people on a different level. And when things match up, that's not my fault. You know what I mean? Like, I can't help that I see and put things together. The Matrix is crazy and I see it very clearly, and I'm not gonna sit here and like not point it out and show other people how to like see it. I mean, that's like a necessity, especially for the stuff that they're trying to pull, because this place is fake. It's an illusion, and they want to push their fear narrative, and I want to help people get through that as much as possible, you know and to see through the illusion, you have to see through their bullshit and how things are connected here. No, and it's more than an opinion when it comes to certain things. Like, magic and all that does affect other people. I mean, that's the whole thing, is like, you're not just keeping that to yourself. You are affecting somebody else or another thing. Like, you're pulling energy from something, you're giving and taking all the time, and it affects your surroundings. So that is the major thing about magic. If you're doing your own thing, that's not like, that's your inner meditation and stuff like that. But I'm talking about like if you're even these art forms and stuff like that. Like, if you're looking at tarot and you're doing that, you're tapping into like the astral realms. And that's like the stuff with like the scripts and all that. Like, to do with hypnosis. Like, that is all tied into the astral, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I know this on a super deep level. Like, all this stuff is tied into the astral. It's not just staying in one person. And as far as like astrology goes and all that, we know the moon is fake. We know like all the planets, all that stuff are tied to our chakras. The stars are satellites. This is a dome. I know that for myself. Maybe not everybody knows that here, but I know that for myself. And I know how this place can mess with your mind, send you different signals. So to say, like, oh, well, that's how you figure out your script. No, that's how they get into your mind. That's how they start fucking with you. And if nobody wants to hear that or you want to go do that, that's fine. I'm not telling you what you can or can't do, but I'm saying I know what it does. Yeah, they charge a lot of money. And to me, like especially over here, this is what I'm talking about is like these are the people that have been through religion. These are the people that have been through all the hospitals and medical system. These are the people that are at their bottom usually and really looking for help and at their last wits end. And that is like bottom barrel stuff, to do that to people. And I've been there myself and I grew up Catholic. This is like the furthest thing that I ever thought that I would go to, but I was seeing the weirdest stuff in my body go on and I couldn't get an answer for it. You know what I mean? And then after this started, I was really like, I need to find people that know about this. Just to set up like a spiritual like business is just so freaking weird. It just really, I mean, it really is. Like when you step back and take a look at it, it is so freaking weird. I know it's old as time itself, but it's very, very weird that it is. And I've never liked it with religion. I've never liked that money's tied in with religion either. On that level, like where they're making like extra money besides helping the poor and maintaining their place of worship and stuff like that. I can see that, like having a nice place and taking care of people. But when it comes to over, like, when people are getting wealthy and stuff over it, it's just insane to have money tied to that. Okay, I wanted to go a little bit into like Vril and how it's like biotech, like magic biotech that actually is like a Vril illusion, like magic, like old school way for watchers to watch through people and all that stuff, like through parasites and all of that. But I don't know if I'll get too far into it tonight because it's like a lot of connections and my voice is almost out tonight. I just really wanted to come on and say something about that because um I felt very disrespected last night with people just saying whatever, like while I'm here. That I've been through it with before, they know like my opinions and not, like what I'm adamant about on top of that. Like they know me. So it felt like very personal. Oh, and I noticed today that, hold on, let me look here. a couple things had changed on my um gematria on the first page. Let me see if I can find them. Like I was talking about the other day, like when you're working on stuff, sometimes like the first page will change, and it's not very often because usually it stays the same for a really long time. Where's the one? Something about teeth. And I've been working on like that on the body a lot lately, like a lot. And that's what I'm like, well, you guys know that, like these 3 layers of skin. But I've also like, I've always like, because I've had a lot of teeth problems and stuff like that, I've had a lot of work. So if, I hear all the time you have like a movie star smile, I'm like, yeah, it cost a lot too. So hold on. But what I was seeing was like, okay, so in the L app, originally, like for these organic bodies, like the Archon got the L app, and the original organic template or whatever, the teeth and bone were supposed to be more like ivory, like not have all of these nerves in it, number one, and also not be as weak as they are. Real, yeah. It is an interesting subject. It's really deep, like those ties that go into like the black magic that they were doing during that time, and especially like on oil and stuff like that I've found that have connections to do with our modern day, like pharmaceuticals and stuff like that, like the magic that they've used on that. If you notice, they use a lot of oil, like in as a binding agent for pharmaceuticals, and I've noticed like a lot of that has to do with black magic and stuff. And they were doing a lot of black magic on oil and stuff at that time. Yeah, it is disturbing. I did a video with my friend Zohair, like alive, and we were talking about like different frequencies that they got from like the Buddhists and all that, and that they were building that Diglocken, like that technology and stuff like that, and it's just like the Buddhist stupas, and also that Nazi palace that they have like in Czechoslovakia, I think it is. And it's built like over that it's like this pit, and it's some pit that like has a bottomless pit, and they built the whole entire thing around it. I did a thing on that because I was like having interaction with this portal that was like that. It looked almost just like that. And then I saw a video about that castle, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this Yoda guy was just showing me that like a day ago. But yeah, there were, I noticed like a lot of different frequencies that I hear that have to do with like in the trans movement, especially for children, like in their cartoons and stuff like that. I'll hear different frequencies. And I know that a lot of them are like from the I saw this video a long time ago. It was like before I went through any of this stuff, and it was like this Thai monastery like temple thing way up in the mountains, and they were doing like this Buddhist ritual, or I don't know if it was Buddhist, but anyways, they were doing like this ritual where they were blowing the horns and doing like this certain kind of frequency, and it was like um summoning these like trans demons. Well, the men there were like getting drunk, and then they were dressing like women and getting possessed by like these trans demons. And then like in these like different um cartoons and stuff like that, I'll hear very weird music and stuff that's similar like that. My boyfriend was just watching something on TV, and I'll like always get him to pay attention to like the background music, and I'm like, what is that? That is so, nobody makes music like that for a movie. And he's like, oh, well, yeah. And it's just stuff that people don't normally pay attention to. And you're falling asleep to this stuff usually, or you're in the state of like, you're entranced. You're relaxed and you're entranced, and it's going through your subliminal mind. So it's very uh insidious, it's very, very insidious. And I hate like he'll fall asleep to those like 60 minutes things a lot, and I'm like, I hate those, that you're falling asleep to something that's talking about violence like that much now that I'm awake, and I hate it because it implants stuff. And like what I've talked about, like my boyfriend has been like a huge everyday like challenge for me with this stuff, especially like if I'm going through it big time. But it just messes with his subliminal so much because he's not awake at all like me. But it's difficult to bring to people's attention. And he is awake. I mean, he's awake, but just not to like that. It takes a lot to be very self-aware, like, and very truthful with yourself and you have to be able to see and feel like all this stuff around you as well. And that's like really difficult for somebody that's super sensitive, to be around somebody that doesn't see anything like that. Yeah, in a subjective state. No, it's not easy. It's not easy for anybody that's awake, like just to be in this world, but it's really difficult, and he'll still drink and stuff like that, and I'm like, I just can't. Like I cannot be I'm like, most of the time I'm like, I just can't talk to you until tomorrow. I think we all feel really lonely in this state. It's not easy, and sometimes I don't get it. Um, I know what we're doing, like on a big level. I do get it, but some days I'm just like, I don't get why none of us are around each other. You know what I mean? That's like the hardest part, I think, of this time is that we're having to use this freaking technology that we hate to even connect with people like on this level. And we're in this time where people don't know that this kind of stuff is going on around them on top of it. So it's really, really, really a lonely journey. And that's how I know, like, big time that we're doing something like on these type of levels, because there's no way that people would be having like drastic waking up so drastically and be so far apart, and for us to not be doing something like holding a grid and doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's obvious that we're placed in certain places at this time for a reason. And then I was gonna go into, yeah, I really need to get that Daft Punk video before I can do a lot of what I've seen more. What's that movie where the guy puts glasses on and he sees, oh, they live? Yeah. And when I first woke up, I was seeing like a lot of spells like that. That's why I just laughed when it said that she was like part of the women's right to vote movement and did a lot of the artwork for the Red Cross because they put magic and all that stuff. But I was seeing that, like, even with cigarettes, they'll put like, Surgeon General warning. That's like a hex on it. And then they'll also do like, I was noticing on Cheez-Its, there's like, I don't, it was like extra toasty or something like that. And I could see like this demonic like spell in it. It was like in the smoke writing. But yeah, I'll see like different stuff on there. And then my boyfriend golfs a lot and they drink that Fireball all the time. And they target like certain, like Fireball does like a lot of advertising towards them. And I'll go golfing with them a lot, and they use golf courses are like major energy centers because there's so many different like emotions going on with that game, and it's out in nature, so they do it on like major grid lines. But when I first woke up, I was seeing like all these like entities and stuff in the trees, and I could feel like the different ley lines and stuff like that that they use there. But yeah, they target people with different like alcohols. Everything that they do is planned and very methodical. I mean, this is what they do. It's like their game. It is, it's interesting, but that's what I'm talking about. Why are they using that much magic on us? You know what I mean? You have to like, it really makes you think like we have something very cool that they're trying to hide from us, to keep us at this lower frequency and to keep this illusion. Like, what are they hiding behind that illusion? And it says in plain sight because they're literally holding us under a spell. But, well, you guys, I hate to cut it short tonight, but I really did just want to come on here and talk about that a little bit and make it known, like, that this is what I'm here for right now, and that I'm not doing things like the way that I did. And there's plenty of other panel channels and places for people to like group up and talk about whatever they want. But here, like, I'm making my stance. I've seen too much to do with children and all of that kind of stuff. Like to do with this pan magic and all that, and children being used in it. And I'm not messing around anymore. And I've heard enough from everybody, and I've given everybody a chance. And this is my time to like say, what I need to say. And that's what I'm doing here right now. And I'm not here to make friends, like I want people that I align with completely and completely align with me on these things. I don't want to do the gray road anymore. I've had to make this choice and I've had to make my stance, and I'm not taking the middle road when it comes to that. So, but thank you guys. I really am. My voice is like completely shot today, and I'm gonna get some rest, and hopefully Mikkel and I can get this done tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Have a good night, hon.